get that pin out in front of you there?
This
That
one?
one? No, that one, yeah, it's blue. So when I sign this stuff, thanks. Yep, thank you.
Good evening. It's Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. We're here for the Franklin County Commissioners' weekly meeting. I will now call the meeting to order and ask that you join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adoption of current agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of the agenda as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? If so, please come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Michelle Andrews. I'm doing some research on some of the farming issues that we're getting ready for in March. And what I'm discovering, and probably maybe you already know, but it is the equipment, the supplies that are extremely high. They are having a very difficult time just getting the materials, the seed, the fertilizer, and they're really getting gouged. And I'm not quite sure what the answer is to that, but then on the back end, they've had some good yields. And some of these yields are being trimmed down by the market that sells them out. They're cutting down the farmer, what they get back, and they're making the profit off of being brokers. And I think that there is something when these folks come together that is probably nationwide, is that those brokers should only be allowed to charge flat fees. They should not be taking the profit from the farmer. Not like this. And that's something we can do right here on U.S. soil. And that's the investigation and some of the stuff that I've researched. There should be something that can be done to create new markets, to create new farm equipment. If we're having such great trillions of dollars coming back into this country. But our farmers are really at a very, very bad point, and I don't have to tell farmers that. I don't have to tell them that. But to recognize how deep it goes and how hard they're being sandwiched is very critical when these gentlemen come in March and visit with them. The aftermarket of selling their product, they should be getting as much of that as possible. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Is there anyone on the phone? All right. Moving on, approval of consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move for approval of consent agenda items 1 through 21 as presented.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on any of them? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Regular business, ordinance 02-2026, Public Works, creation of Chapter 5.18 FCC, regulating the creation of cable franchises ordinance presented by Jeff Briggs, Franklin County Chief Civil Deputy Prosecuting Attorney.
Good evening, Board. What we have before us right now is an ordinance for cable franchises. What this essentially does is cable franchises are very heavily regulated by federal rules, the Code of Federal Regulations, and state law is pretty permissive. It just basically allows us to contract with entities seeking cable franchises within the county. So what this ordinance does is it makes sure that those requirements for franchise agreements, which is essentially a contract to operate within our right-of-way, that those agreements are uniform, because that is one of the strict requirements of the federal laws, that all of these franchisees are treated equally. The other aspect of it is that it enables us to charge a 5% franchise fee. Now we can do that already, and we've done so with, I believe, the only cable franchise I'm aware of is Charter, and so that is baked into that language, and that's permissive based on the federal statute. So, the board can change this as it wishes over the years, and certainly modify it, but we always want to be cognizant of the fact that we have to treat these entities equally So when we are modifying it in the future, we want to look at these past agreements and make sure that all those things sort of line up, if that makes any sense.
Do you know by chance what ballpark amount is that we collect on that?
I know it's not as much as you would think. We've had amounts coming in from Charter. Are they paying us quarterly, Shirley?
Yes, it's usually been about 4,000, but we just sent off a letter.
Right. So it's been about 4,000 quarterly. And so we've sent off a letter. We have a right to do that, to basically demand an accounting. So we're trying to kind of figure that out, where these figures are coming from. So it's really preliminary at this point in terms of how those figures are arrived at. But again, this is 5% of gross revenue. And they are allowed under the CFRs to deduct certain types of expenses. And they're also allowed, if you have a cable bill and you're in the county, you'll see it as a separate line item. They actually parse that out, and they basically bill the subscriber for that fee.
All right.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
it says the creation, we have not been charging this? Or we have?
We have, yeah. It's so the purpose of the ordinance really is to create a code section. We'll have, I think it's 518 is where we are placing this, and so the code is basically a blueprint for future franchise agreements that we sign. We're not required to have an ordinance, but most municipalities do, and it's for that reason I stated earlier that you want to treat these franchisees equally under the law. It's not just like an equal protection issue under the Constitution. It's also mandated by the Code of Federal Regulations. So you kind of have two bases upon which that the franchisees could say, hey, you're not treating us equally, knock it off. So it doesn't have to be word for word the same agreement, but substantively it needs to substantially be the same as all the other franchisees.
Okay.
Is that on net or on gross?
Gross. But it's weird because it says gross, and then they're allowed to deduct things. So it's gross in terms of whatever the CFR defines that term as, and I'd have to go back to it and look at it.
So I'm just playing with my calculator here. So they're saying that they make gross in Franklin County just over $300,000 a year is what that would equate to.
That's why we're asking for more information. It doesn't seem like it makes mathematical sense, I guess, in the terms of what you'd expect them to be making. But again, this is just for unincorporated Franklin County as well. But
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, no further questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move for approval of ordinance 02-2026 as presented.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Closed record hearing. Do we have a? We will now open the closed record hearing for CUP 2025-11. Blizzard, an application to allow for detached accessory dwelling unit. Have you had ex parte communication you need to disclose involving this matter or any reason to recuse yourself from these hearing proceedings?
I have not.
I have not.
I have none either. I'll answer honestly. Okay. You've all reviewed the entire record?
I have.
Yes.
Yes. Are there any questions before we start? Is there any discussion?
I just have one question, and I thought we were going, and we're probably on the way to doing this, these accessory dwelling units. you're going to be your decision and not ours?
So, yes, in the future, the hope is that when we get a hearing examiner, that will be done. With accessory dwelling units, depending on what the public input is, when we get the comp plan updated and development regulations, I would tend to say in most areas there will be an outright allowable use. So it won't even take administrative approval. But that decision, it will be pending on you gentlemen at a later date when we put that in front of you.
All right. Any further discussion? At this point, I'll take a suggested motion, or a motion to approve or deny.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Resolution 2026-062, a detached accessory dwelling unit for CUP 2025-11.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, and I look forward to when this is an administrative process.
Not as much as I do.
I just appreciate the fact, if I may, Mr. Chairman, that people are willing to take care of their elders, and they're willing to make these units available for their parents on their land so they can take care of them. I think this is a noble thing to do.
I would agree. The motion passes unanimously. The hearing is now closed. Commissioner Administrator updates. Mr. Danzel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, pardon me. Members of the community, I met with Larry Ziegler, Office of Public Defense. I have in my correspondence stack here an article outlining how it was a Democratic senator actually from Shoreline, who's an attorney, and actually was a public defender, has come and outright and said that the 300% decrease in caseloads or whatever it ended up being from the Supreme Court is untenable. So it looks like there might be, I don't know if it'll be this session or next session, but there's movements in a bipartisan fashion on trying to at least make the mandates from the Supreme Court more palatable. I had a department head meeting, met with facilities director, and then we also had a couple days worth of facility director interviews, attended the SAT meeting, met with Bo Beckley. I just want to put this on your gentleman's radar. We're coming up on his time for a renewal of his contract. So I've been discussing that with Bo, but I just wanted to get that ready for you so you're ready to go on that. What I'd like to do is do a performance evaluation and then be able to make my recommendation to you. But he's been awesome. The IAS department has been incredible, and it's been a pleasure to work with them. You gentlemen just saw here tonight, they're coming by and scanning our phones and fixing our gadgets. And so anyway, wanted to put a good word in with him, but also wanted to get that on your radar to know that that's going to be coming down the pipe. Met with Wes McCart. We discussed planning, building, and economic development. We talked a little bit more about the Rural Prosperity Summit. That leads into, I've talked with Kirk Pearson multiple times. There's just more and more happening. Every time I talk to him, there's more people interested. Last time I talked to him, it was 1,500 he thought might attend. Originally, it was 500, then it jumped to, well, we think we might get 1,000. Now it's about 1,500. More agencies, more figureheads, more people that can actually maybe put folks in touch with either a program that can help with a city or a county or an entity. And then to the comments point, the Farm Service Agency will also be there to be able to help farmers and try to provide, and NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. The whole suite of USDA, frankly, will be there. Small Business Administration, Economic Development will be there. We've got EPA is going to be there. Veterans Affairs is going to have its own separate room for any kind of issues that any of our vets are dealing with. So it's really grown into a pretty big thing. met with commissioners on different occasions to look at different projects. And then worked and had numerous calls with Jeff Briggs, Sean Sant, and Mackenzie Lloyd from the prosecuting attorney's office over a myriad of issues. Let's see here. I think I'll hold the rest until it's correspondence, because the rest that I have, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, it would be via correspondence to you. But that would be my report, and just let me know if there's anything that you want me pursuing.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Bauman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too was supposed to meet with Kirk Pearson, except for I got the timing off, and I was a week early to my meeting. So that was kind of fun. So, yeah, I just somehow got it wrong on my calendar, so that was kind of fun. Last week, immediately following the commissioners meeting, I left here and made my way to Olympia to meet with the Legislative Steering Committee at Wassac, and spent Wednesday and Thursday there, or the rest of the day Wednesday and then Thursday there. Had a Benton Franklin Transit Executive Board meeting, and at the end of that meeting, some of the executive board met with the CEO, Thomas Drost, and with mutual agreement, Thomas Drost is on paid administrative leave as the investigation that was started back in December that the board authorized is completed, and everybody felt mutually that it was probably in the best interest of the agency that Thomas take leave while the remainder of that investigation plays out. And did a couple of news interviews in light of our board meeting last week about the concern that I had, that I shared with you, that our county has about the opportunity or the ability to carry a concealed firearm on their person while in this courthouse. And so subsequent to that, I did have a meeting walking this facility, evaluating what reconfiguring the security in this building might look like, and how that might be done. So work to be done there, but there is some of that evaluation underway now. Meeting with the PA's office, agenda meeting with our administrator, meeting at HAPO with HWL, numerous phone calls and other meetings, but I will leave that as my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Didier.
Yeah, last week, not a lot of meetings, but I met with Wes McCart, Planning and Economic Development, and we talked about some of the things that we're planning on doing this next year. Went to the Connell High School basketball game to watch my granddaughter. She's on the cheerleading squad. And I had a fellow farmer come up to me and thank us, all of us, for not raising taxes in Franklin County in these hard times. And we had a really good conversation. We're really concerned about our state and the pressure that this governor is putting on our state. And I don't know if this is true or not. It may be AI, but there is a report out here that our governor is considering taxing the air we breathe. Now, I hope that is AI, because if it's true, that just goes to show you. It says, breaking news, Governor Ferguson proposes air tax. I don't know if that's true or not, but it would be right up his alley. Went to the St. Paul's dinner up there at St. Paul's Church, and again got thanked for not raising our taxes by people, and great dinner, raising the money for all numerous things there. But met with Kyle Sullivan today. We had a veterans meeting today. It was just Kyle and myself on the phone. We talked briefly and quite extensively about what we got to get into place for our veterans, and we're going to be hiring a VSO officer and talking about how to get veterans into this. And one of the guys that works for me is a veteran, and they're thinking about moving the one meeting room over there to the second floor of the federal building. And the veteran that works for me, he said that'd be great, because that's where their health services are at for the veterans. It'd be a one-stop center. I said that'd be great too. Yeah, we need one here in Pasco, and then Kennewick needs one over in Kennewick. The more we make available, but he says if you want to help vets, they got to be able to communicate. They need a phone, And I think we already have free bus travel for the veterans, do we not, Stephen?
We do.
Yes, all veterans travel for free that would be for them to go to and from these areas. So the last thing is, the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. I'm happy for the Seahawks. It was
Hawks.
a great game. And what was most beneficial was watching them praise the Lord Jesus Christ and helping them achieve their goal, but it was all put into place because it was just that it's not that he helped them win. It is how they deal with the disappointments in life and moving forward. And it's just about life. So it was just really, really good stuff by the Seahawks. I mean, it's out there. You can Google it and watch it. It's very good. That's the end of my report.
All right, thank you. Last week had the Metro Task Force meeting. Also had a meeting with Mr. Danzel on the agenda. Also had a meeting at HAPO with Mike McCall and Larry Leisure. And then just want to say that Franklin County Cattlemen's Meeting annual banquet is coming up February 21st. Just want to remind people of that, and that is my report. So with that, we will. Is there any correspondence this week?
Boy, is there. Yes, we have correspondent, both incoming and outgoing, I think. What I'm going to send you here first is going to be a series of 2 different letters from the Benton Franklin Superior Court bench. That's the first letter. I'm going to recommend that we probably end up in an executive session over this, so. Here's another copy of the other letter. This will be the second letter. So again, these are probably, well, I'm almost certain that we're going to be in an executive session. I don't think it's going to take a long time, but just communications from the Superior Court bench. The next thing that I have is that article that I told you about with the caseload standards. Here it is from Larry Ziegler. He wanted me to make you aware of this. And it's the kind of the interesting issue here is that it shouts out a little bit, our local legislators, I believe, Senator Torres introduced some legislation that would help towards this end too. So she is mentioned in there. We have, and Wes, I will get you a copy of this too, although you already told me this was coming and sent me notification of this. An application from Mr. William Bill Barlow for Comprehensive Plan Advisory Board. I think it's the regional climate element component that he's interested in, but here's a copy of that. No, that's mine, I apologize. Thank you. All right, and I'm saving the best for last. We have a school tour coming tomorrow, Liberty Christian School Tour, and I'm going to pass this down, but Jen and I think Jen has been working on this exclusively, if I'm not mistaken. And so if you have any time to swing by during these times and meet some kiddos, I'm sure that they would love to be able to do that. I will be here, and I will be meeting with them at some point, but just wanted to give you the heads up on that. And that is the extent of the incoming correspondence. It'll probably require, like I said, an executive session to discuss some of the correspondence we did receive. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that, but that is the end of my correspondence.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm just remembering, we got a correspondence. Teresa, could you help me remember this? Bob Parr, dropped a letter by asking if we would write a letter of congratulations, I believe, for a service member that is retiring. I'm trying to remember. I would just ask that that we write up that letter so that we could sign it, a letter of congratulations for a retiring service member that's going to be honored for their service. I believe the graduation ceremony is going to be in Spokane, And he stopped by and asked if we could sign a letter that he would like to have read at the thing. So Bob Parr. Yes. I'm trying to remember. I'll work on that and figure out how to get that to you.
Mr. Danzel, do you know how many students will be from Liberty Christian?
You know, Commissioner, I don't exactly know. I do know this much. I know that they're a B school. And so I know that it's not going to be a situation where it's a class of, you know, like 500. It'd be closer to, I believe, like maybe in the 40 range. I would really rely on Jen even to.
I
to
asked
ask.
earlier today, and they said there's going to be 2 groups of approximately 30.
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
One last thing I'd just like to take note of to everybody out there in Franklin County realizes that on our consent agenda that we passed a resolution 2026-063, which is paying Benton County for juvenile services when we have set up our own and we have our everything into place, and we were given that right in our contract. But we have made that payment in protest again for February. This is, we're really making a solid effort here of not hurting anything that was going on. All we're asking is in our contract, it states that we can leave anytime we want as long as we set up our juvenile services ability, and we've done it. And we're not being able to move on. Mr. Administrator, please, Mr. Danzel.
Mr. Commissioner, I would discuss that in executive session.
Well, I just want to make the
Yeah.
people know that we've made this payment for the second time.
All right, thank you. Public comment. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? If so, please come forward, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
I'm Richard Dorvan from Basin City. Commissioner Bauman, this gun deal, I think there's better things that we can be working on rather than dividing up the courthouse. Years ago, I was on a jury trial with a bunch of gang activity and stuff, and it upset me and 4 of the other jurors. We went down and got our weapons permit. And so I would like to have it to stay the way it is, because it was very upsetting to us. And like before the trial started, the prosecuting attorney says, "You people aren't going to understand what's actually going on in the Tri-City area. 600 gang people we know about." And it was very bothersome to us, so leave it. Another thing here that's bothered me too is that I'm reading the Tri-City Herald, and moving all these juveniles to Spokane and stuff, it just kind of heart-rending. None of us here have had kids or grandchildren in that situation, and I imagine a lot of the people, the parents and stuff, they don't have a lot of money to go to Spokane. So I know it's cost-effective to send to Spokane, but have heart. We need to have a way of keeping these kids, getting them off the crime. And I don't think hauling them to Spokane is going to do it. We need to have them here locally so we can try to take care of them and hopefully have them switch over in their lives. And so that's all I have to say. But those are 2 things that have been really bothering me since I read the Tri-City Herald. So anyway, thanks.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael Robitel, Mayor, City of Colotis. Sent you, both the commissioners and Mr. Briggs, an email for City of Colotis to enter into an interlocal agreement to see about joining with Franklin County District Court Services so that we could have a way to enforce our fines and fees that we have for our ordinances and stuff of that sort. And wanted to basically help to hopefully get that process kick-started.
All right, thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment?
Sorry to be redundant, but we're back on the Snake River dams. There's a memorandum of understanding, and the Snake River dams are pivotal to our economy here. We absolutely cannot lose them, and the issues are in Idaho. I was part of a member team with Columbia Snake River Irrigators Association. We went to Idaho. We almost had Governor Little sign the God Squad and the ESA exemption, and we're going back through the same loop over and over and over again with Judge Simon. So let me tell you about Elwha Dam. That was a dam on a tribal reservation that they tore out because they didn't want to maintenance it. They were tired of it. They wanted everything natural. Well, then they experienced flooding down on the ocean side, and they decided to take city and county land to make up for what they lost because now they're flooded. The Snake River dams, 80% of those juvenile fish, that's the only one that has a trouble. I lived in Idaho. We went up in Stanley Basin. 80% of the juvenile fish never make it to the first dam. Now, I love Idaho. I'm very fond of my memories there, but the problems are in Idaho. They have slow-moving, shallow water with no cover for the fish. And you have a species, an invasive species of brown trout that eat the juvenile and their food source year-round in the natal streams of Idaho. Okay? So the only thing that backs them off is there's enough rainbow trout. The seriousness of this, though, goes beyond Washington State. They are federal waters. They are navigable waters. So if we take out those dams, it's going to have this massive effect across every single waterway in the United States. Now, we haul wheat and other bulk products like lumber, and I do not want a bunch of trains coming through here. We've got enough going through already, and what have you. And they think this is a great solution. All these people against carbon dioxide, and now they want to just flood this very conservative area with lots of pollution. But in the other waterways that this will affect, you're going to have munitions and troops, massive pieces of equipment being hauled or stopped because it's going to ricochet across. It's always been that way. So again, we must push back very hard when we have this beautiful people coming here. They need to see the beauty of that amazing fish ladder and everything that we've done, cooling. The Corps of Engineers were very good. They've been infiltrated, to be honest. And I don't have enough time to comment on some of the tribal government issues. The tribal people are the most oppressed people in this country. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room for public comment? Hearing, seeing none. Anybody on the phone? All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'd just like to make a couple of comments here. In relationship to the Martin Hall Juvenile Services, both myself and our administrator sought this information out, and we were told that there has been one family, collectively, one family in the history of Martin Hall that has ever gone to visit their child at that facility. And mind you that facility serves 9 other counties. And so as far as people traveling to Martin Hall for their child that is held within incarcerated juvenile services, it's just not a thing. That just doesn't happen. It's very difficult for a child to get placed in confinement. There's many avenues out of, and that's just simply not a thing. And I think the comments that were made perfectly demonstrate where my concern lies as far as citizens being concerned, whether it's gang activity or threats or whatever it is. It was a great demonstration of why it's important for us to have the ability to constitutionally protect ourselves. So thank you for that opportunity, Mr. Chairman. I would love it, please.
think the other thing too to add is that it represents what would be the equivalent of laying off 25 of our employees if we don't seek that contract. My question to the people that would be against it is, why is there a market rate that's 175% more than what the other facility is charging? And then finally, I would just say this. It's a little different now in the year 2026 than it was even 26 years ago. But the state of Washington's pretty soft on crime. You're not getting kids that steal candy bars that are going to juvenile detention. And you're not getting folks that are even here locally visiting the incarceratees. So it's a sensitive issue. The thing that we would have to do if we don't pursue that is we would have to divert about $3 million out of the road fund or lay off 25 people.
All right, thank you. Executive session, is there a need?
Yes, there'd be a need under 4230, 110, 1I, potential litigation. We would need, we'll go with 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think it'll be 30 minutes is fine.
With myself, the board, county administrator, the clerk, and Ms. Lloyd from my office as well.
All right. Okay. So at this time, it is 7:36. We will go into executive session for approximately 30 minutes. We'll be back out at 8:06. Thank you.
It's a really good movie. Watch it. It's called Always. You'll like it.
I have watched it. It's very good.
Richard
Dreyfuss.
yeah.
Yeah, Dreyfuss.
We've come out of executive session with no decisions being made. Is there any more business for the good of the county?
There is, Mr. Chairman. I would move that we amend the agenda to add a possible action item, and that item is to authorize our administrator, along with consultation from council, to respond to some of the correspondence that we received earlier in this meeting.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I move that we authorize our administrator, with consultation from our council, to craft and send correspondence on our behalf in relationship to some of the correspondence that we received earlier in this meeting.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Oh, excuse me. Is that the one we want to do? There's that one. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I should have added 2 items. So I would move that we amend the agenda a second time to add another potential action item, and that is in response to, that's what we just did. That's what we just did. Did we not just do that? No?
There was 2 letters that were sent to us. One was
So this was the communication that you gave to us earlier, right?
you see there's 2.
Right, but we just authorized you to craft responses to communication that we had received. Do we need to do a second one, or? Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we amend the agenda for a second time to add one additional potential action item, and that is a response to the Benton Franklin Superior Court in their demand for litigation for fees and special counsel.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I move that we send correspondence to the Honorable Jacqueline Stamm, the administrative presiding judge of the Benton Franklin Superior Court, in response to their demand for litigation fees and special counsel.
I second.
Motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes unanimously. Any other business for the good of the county?
I just can say we'll transmit those immediately.
All right, thank you. Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. Good night.